over the next 10 years or so, which universe in terms of film do you have more confidence in? The MCU or this new DCEU or whatever they're going to end up calling it?
DC, 100%. I think Marvel has reached its peak and it's on a very fiery crash course into just obscurity. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was amazing, yes, and that was James Gunn. And he's gone to DC. So I think the only thing Marvel has over DC right now is their live action movie. And because right now DC kills them in any animated movie, video game, anything. As obviously Spider-Man's great. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is coming out, but you know. But the thing is, once those new movies come out, they're gonna reach a broader audience and they're gonna be just phenomenal.
The DC movies, you're saying?
The DC movies are gonna be great.
Um,
I think the Batman was just like a tiny little taste of what DC could be, and that movie was amazing.
Here's where I stand with superhero movies. They're all gonna die in 5 years. It doesn't matter what Marvel or DC. It has been a serious downfall. We'll see what. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. How long is it going to take for DC to have a universe that is fully fleshed out with characters like the MCU, where you can call upon, where you can have a cameo or whatever, or a spin-off, or another character appearing on a different film, and nobody gives a shit. Nobody raises a question. Nothing, right? Doctor Strange shows up in Spider-Man. Spider-Man shows up in Doctor Strange. Now, listen, I'm not the biggest MCU fan. I haven't seen a lot of their movies. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy #3, which was an amazing movie. I cried 4 times. And again, James Gunn moved over to DC. He's done. Also, I feel like when people look back at the superhero genre in 10, 20 years, people are going to look at James Gunn and Zack Snyder as the two directors that really tapped into the genre and did their own thing. And it's going to be tragic because while if this DC thing goes further, um, James Gunn, would have a bigger legacy where he has the Marvel done, the 3 movies, and he has touched upon Superman, and he has touched upon his own DC universe, right? And 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 in that regard, I feel like people would look at Zack Snyder and say, "Oh man, he never got to complete his vision. He never got to complete his next 2 films. He never got to do his adaptation of DC." And I feel like, despite the fact that James Gunn is going to run DC, we're not going to see something fresh. We're not going to see something new as much as I have a feeling that it might be it will be more put together. It will be more I guess organized in a sense. But then again, I feel like with Zack Snyder, they had a plan. They had their own plan. They were not trying to do what MCU was doing because they can do that. There is no point. MCU had 6 or 7 years worth of movies with 4 or 5 different characters and a team up movie and a sequel ready and out, and people that was the biggest movie of that generation. Everyone watched the Avengers. DC cannot do that again. So what did Zack Snyder do? Okay, let's do our own film. 5 movies. We tell this big giant epic with these DC characters, and they deconstruct them. They show the flaws of these characters, and they show that in order to Superman to become Superman, he has to go through this thing. He has to go through Man of Steel. He has to go through BVS, where yes, he is becoming this old American good guy. He's doing the right thing, but he is being criticized by the society. You would never get something like that in this new DCU. It's not going to happen. So, is it really going to be something different than the MCU? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's going to be fun. It's going to be well made, and I'm excited for James Gunn Superman movie because it's going to be a new take on Superman. and I feel like he really knows his comics. He really loves his material. He has respect to them, and you can really tell that he really tries with his movies. He's not just trying to get the cash in, get the check, get out. No, you can really see the vision behind Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, he reached Star Wars level, in terms of vision in with these new worlds and aliens and shit. Like that's a guy who really tries, man. So I think he's not gonna half-ass it, but his vision is very similar to what the Marvel feel is about. That's him. That's James Gunn. The Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, rubbed off into the entire MCU. The use of soundtracks, use of songs in movies, the use of comedy, and all this rubbed off into the entire MCU. So James Gunn's print and Joss Whedon's print is all over the MCU. It's not the Russo brothers. It's not the Taika Waititi. No, they're all coming in and they're doing what James Gunn and Joss Whedon had laid out to them as what you expect from an MCU movie. That's what James Gunn. That's what Joss Whedon took with him to the DCU when he had to reshoot Justice League. That's what James Gunn is going to take to the DC universe when he is launching this new universe. So, in conclusion, it's just going to be another MCU. It's just going to be obviously different, better, obviously different, maybe better. You never know. But it's going to be the same template, the same feel, unless you just do movies like Joker, you do movies like The Batman, or do these different movies, and they just take DC properties and different directors, they just do their movie, and that's it. It's just DC movies, not a DC universe. But if we're talking about a DC universe, I don't think it's going to be a game changing, genre bending, genre defining moment where people get reinvigorated. They run to the seats. They run to the theaters again. The superhero movies do well. I mean, look at the latest movies, except for Guardians of the Galaxy. The box office. I haven't been keeping up with the box office as much, but the box office hasn't been doing well. Shazam was a major flop, and I'm suspecting the Flash might be a flop too. People
Yeah.
aren't really excited about that movie. The trailers aren't looking the best, and James Gunn is saying, "Oh, I have seen the Flash movie," and I say it is a great movie. Like okay, brother. Like what do you want me to do? Like yeah, go see it. Yeah, I'm gonna go see it. Whatever. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is the superhero genre as a whole is dying. It happens to every genre. It happened to the Western. The Western went through this change. It had a phase where they deconstructed the Western and they looked back at the old West, where you have the good guy and the bad guy, black and white man, Indian. That's the movie, and they look back at the old Westerns and they say, no, 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 no. It's actually the white people who came into this land and took this land. That's the bad guy. So they tell the story through the Native Indians' point of view. They deconstruct the hero. That's what you've been seeing from Watchmen, the TV show, HBO, where they take cultural issues with race and politics, and with Zack Snyder with his movies, right? And even the boys. The boys is a clear, just an attack on the superheroes in a universe where the boys exist and it is popular and people watch. You cannot have what you had in the 2000s, the 2002s, or the 2012s, the golden age of superhero movies. It's over,
See,
man.
I think, like, first of all, indigenous people, and second of all, like, so
First Nations.
it's not Indians. Yeah.
Indian-
Not Indians.
No, like it's like cowboys and Indians.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that.
yeah. But
Cut that out,
I
please.
think that it's not going to obscurity. I do agree with what you're saying that DC can't do what Marvel's doing because DC needs to be its own thing. And all the movies that have been put out recently have been just like cash grabs, like clear cash grabs. DC with Shazam is just trying to be Marvel, and like you said, they can't be. And that is Disney's fault, in my opinion. That is clearly Disney's fault. Once Marvel was bought up by DC, there's a very clear decline in content. But I think now people are shifting to they don't want to see like superhero movies about like flashy superheroes. They want to see real world movies involving superheroes. I don't think it's dying. I think it's evolving into something else. Because every film,
I agree. I agree that it's
let me
evolving.
finish, let me finish, let me
No,
finish.
I'm not letting you finish, man. It
Every
is evolving.
film genre or film movement reflects back. It's a reflection of the society, right? Every single one. It's the filmmakers' take on what's going on socially around them. And through superheroes, they're doing that now with corporate like capitalism, like The Boys, and like racism and like greed and corruption, like in Watchmen, the TV show. And Batman is just that's just a great movie. They didn't really touch anything there. But
I'm saying I agree. Like you said, the boys and shows like The Watchmen and even like see if Zack Snyder's Watchmen had come out now, it would have been one of the greatest. It would have
yeah,
been
it
received as the
yeah,
greatest superhero movie, one of the greatest ever made. It just came out way too early, man. 2009 was a peak of superhero movies. This was after Iron Man, and they were making Incredible Hulk. They were leading up to the Avengers with the MCU, and the Dark Knight came out a year before. So yes, there was like a big dark DC vibe going on, but movies like that is what people are looking for. You're right. The superhero genre is evolving. So did the westerns. They evolved and turned into something else. Yes. However, I'm saying that James Gunn and his team, I'm very skeptical that they are here to do a reflection on the genre as opposed to a celebration. Another go at a big universe. Another go at something fun, something pulpy, something big, something colorful, and something that's not gonna stick. That's not gonna stick
yeah.
with the
See,
audiences because
I agree with
it's
you
just
there.
like
I think DC needs to go to it back to its darker roots and make a genre out of that. Imagine how good the Batman universe is going to be by Matt Reeves. Like that movie is just going to be amazing. It needs to DC needs to stick to DC, but the thing is, they're all just trying to make money now.
yeah,
And what makes money is movies that more people can see,
yeah.
like kids' movies, colorful, flashy movies. And through
But
that,
again, like
James Gunn,
that's
I don't
that's
think he's
been
gonna do. I think he's gonna make good movies. I don't think he's gonna do what like Endgame and the Avengers did. You know what I mean? I agree what you're saying, but I think if DC sticks to its darker roots and makes more mature movies, then like superhero movies will live on for a while. And I think that more spin-off shows and movies will become more popular throughout by smaller filmmakers. That will become like the heart of superheroes because those like films and those shows, they're not made by people trying to make money. They're made by people who love the content, you know?
right.
Like if we made a superhero movie, it'd be because we love that superhero. It wouldn't be because we're trying to make money. Because we're not controlled by producers of Disney. But yeah. Dark Superman is very good. Hello,
There.
Khalil.
With that being said, I think the biggest thing, I got to Disney is great. We love Disney. I just have to counter some stuff, because the internet. Anyways, I think the biggest thing is probably how much the studios meddle with the directors and how much freedom they give the directors.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. It's like you can't have a lot of stuff going on because the director producer will be like, nope, no one wants that, or like they have a quota to fit,
Or ADs.
or ATs.
Shout out
Cut that,
Joiner.
cut
Cut.
that, cut that. Please cut that.
No, I
Like,
think no, I agree with Khalil and Yasit on that. The fact that the best movies are when a director has full control. But again, there are moments where if you give the director too much control, something might backfire. You just never know. You just never know that. Movies like I was just watching a lot of William Friedkin interviews who directed the Sorcerer movie from 1979, I believe. Fact check that for me. Sorcerer, 1979. Robert Roy Scheider, William Friedkin.
that's the director you told me to
This was in
watch, right?
19. Yes, I did. Yeah, you should
Yeah.
watch him. In the 70s, a lot of the directors did have full creative control, and this was one of the guys. He did The French Connection, won for Best Director. He was untouchable. He did The Exorcist, the highest grossing film of all time at the
One of the
point,
best films of
one
all
of the
time.
best
And you
films
know,
of all
you could have
time.
asked us what the best film of all time would be. That would have been a good debate.
The Exorcist. That would be the
Yeah,
good bit. Next one,
yeah.
next one.
Or the
But
best
then, so
director.
He was there. He had full creative control. He could do anything he wanted. So he went to Sorcerer. He did the movie, and then it was a major flop. It was a flop. Critics hated it. It was in 1977. That's when Star Wars came out. Star Wars kind of wiped it out. You know what Star Wars is. Well, and that kind of killed the career of the director as well. He only did a few movies after that, and then that was it. So it's a real shame. However, and that's one of those movies that really killed the the freedom that directors had in Hollywood. And it kind of led to a ripple effect where in the 80s it's very studio driven pictures as opposed to director driven pictures, right? And then the 90s came up. With the 90s, you have a lot of independent filmmakers coming up: Paul Thomas Anderson, Quentin Tarantino, Wes Anderson, Christopher Nolan, and Steven Soderbergh, and all these guys who are making smaller independent films. Richard Linklater, and this was the next generation of filmmakers, right? And that they brought a creative voice with them that kind of led to, again, director-driven pictures. Christopher Nolan had full creative control when he did Batman Begins, and look where that led to, right? Zack Snyder had full creative control when he did Watchmen and even Man of Steel. But when you got to understand that with the studios, these are massive, massive movies, man. These are $300 million pictures. These are not 50 million, $25 million indie films. No, these are
5,000.
500 million with the freaking the marketing budget added on. These are massive films. They got to make sure that they make the money that they want it to. When a movie like Batman versus Superman, the two of the biggest superheroes of all time, doesn't crack a billion. It made money. It made money. It broke even. It made money for Warner Brothers, but this is their biggest properties. If they have to go all in, this is it. All in. Poker game, Marvel's there, DC's there, all in. Batman and Superman. The Night. What was it? Black and Blue. And then it
Yeah,
doesn't do as well. This is the ripple effect. This is what caused this entire downfall of DC. The fact that Batman and Superman, the movie, Batman v Superman, did not make the money that and it had to make.
yeah.
Aquaman comes out, $1.4 billion. Guess what? Now you're thinking, okay,
I've
Wonder
still never
Woman.
seen Aquaman just because I know it's not good. Just like Batman vs. I've seen Batman vs Superman, but the thing is, that was if they let Zack Snyder make Batman vs Superman, that would have been a much better movie.
I think
I
Zack
think
Snyder did get it. He
I,
got to make the film, and
I,
and 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 he got to make the extended cut, which is a 3 hour version, which is
yeah,
which is the
that was
one you
good.
should watch.
That's the one I've seen. I've
Yeah,
seen both, but
that's the one you should
it's
watch.
like if that one came out, the thing is, it's like first of all, Zack Snyder needs to cut down his movie times.
Yeah,
Second, then more people would see it. Second of all, I think producers, they're trying to go for of like more people that see the movie, more money they can make. But then which is true, but then when you make a better movie, you'll have a better movie, you'll have more money. In the long run, yeah, like Batman vs Superman, that should be at the end of the timeline. Anyone who knows anything about DC knows that Batman vs Superman, The Dark Knight Returns, that happens at the end of the eras. That happens at the end of like both their storylines. Batman's supposed to be like 80 years old. The Justice League is gone. Wonder Woman doesn't even exist anymore because the government stopped the Justice League because they wanted to control them. The only person they could control was Superman. And if people who made that movie knew about, I'm sure they did, but I'm sure they didn't care. The people
I
who
think
made
what they kind of went through with was adapting that storyline. Okay, there's Batman
yeah
and Superman. Let's adapt that um
Miller.
Frank
Miller.
Miller novel into this new world that they're creating. Yes, the whole point of Frank Miller's novel was a Superman that was a villain. Superman was the
Yeah.
villain. He was a pawn of the government. He
See,
hated
this
Superman,
wraps back to my other
right?
point, where it's people want to see things. The Dark Knight Returns is one of the greatest movies of all time, and some people haven't seen it. It is such a good animated movie. But
It
this
is.
wraps
It is
back
one
to
of the
my point
greatest.
where it is. See, it's wraps to the point where people want to see movies about social issues
Well,
with
I think
superheroes in
Batman v
it.
Superman does that. but it's not doing the Dark Knight Returns. It's adapting the Dark Knight Returns, the story that Batman fights Superman, an older Bruce Wayne fighting a young Superman, a new Superman, a Bruce Wayne who hasn't seen such power. He sees him
Yeah.
as a threat. He needs to take him down.
Mhm.
And you know the Martha scene. Okay, all
That's
right,
what I say. The Martha
I
scene,
get
like,
it.
killed the
It's
whole
like
thing.
it's a little on the nose. I don't know about that scene,
I
but
don't know what they're thinking with that scene, to be honest.
I
That's
mean, like I don't think it's fair to say that they should have waited to do Batman v Superman. They should have waited if they were doing a universe like the MCU. So
mhm.
when Civil War happens, you're like, oh man, they're fighting each other. No, this destruction between the two is what leads to their is what leads for the Justice League to be born.
Now,
Yeah.
Batman vs Superman and Civil War did come on the same year,
Yes.
which
Yeah,
you
one
know,
person did it. I'm convinced they only did it because Marvel was doing their whole superheroes are fighting each other thing.
No, I Marvel did it after DC. That's
No,
the rumor
Marvel's
here.
leading up to it though, isn't
No,
it?
no, no, no. There was nothing that led up to Civil War. Civil War came out of nowhere. Civil War came out of nowhere. You know, the rumor is, you know, it got
Civil War was
leaked.
a
DC.
surprise because of Spider-Man. That was the rumor around it, was that it was called Captain America Serpent Society initially, and they were secretly doing Civil War, but they didn't want to reveal it because they weren't sure about getting the rights to Spider-Man.
Oh,
But there's always talk within the
yeah,
industry,
I'm
so
sure
it's
they knew. I'm sure it was a competition thing. I think with like barring that and how you're saying it, I understand what you're saying that they weren't trying to do the Dark Knight Returns. They should have. They definitely should have. But with this new universe that they're building, I think they should finish it off with Kingdom Come. I don't know if you guys have read. I don't know if you've read Kingdom Come. Great graphic novel. I can give it to you if you want.
You
But
got it?
yeah, I have it. So basically, it's about like it's kind of the same premise where all the old superheroes have been outlawed, right? But now, like because of superheroes, like some stuff happens. I can't remember what, but like essentially everyone's a superhero, and it's like the new generation of superheroes and how they're lawless and things like that, and how they don't actually know what it's like to be a human because they're born with superpowers. They don't know the struggle. Everyone's Superman, nobody's Superman. So it's like how how superhumans will evolve in the universe when because the only reason that like Batman is because he's human. The only reason that any of these superheroes are superheroes is because they know like the painstakes of being human. If you just had powers, then you end up like General Zod and stuff like that. You end up a villain, which is what the whole comic's talking about. And it's a great Batman versus Superman, things like that.
Damn.
I think they should end it with that, or they should go back to the Aquaman, like Jason Momoa, all that whole universe. Do a Kingdom Come. That movie, that would be like the most expensive movie ever made. Because that movie has so much to it. Kilo came back, and I wonder if he has to say something.
well, I was
No,
gonna
for real, man.
say
I think I'm happy that we have one great Justice League movie. I'm
Yeah,
happy that it's there. We got
watch
it
the Snyder
released.
cut.
Hashtag release the Snyder cut.
Snyder cut.
We got it. You know, it's there. If you want to, I think people would look back at Man of Steel wasn't the greatest. I think Man of Steel didn't go balls in with the writing and you know the you know they didn't be they weren't as ambitious
Yeah,
as they were with Batman v Superman, and Man of Steel is sort of like this fluff compared to the other two, but still Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League will be one of those weird trilogies where it's just like, oh, we don't know where the story's gonna go. It's just like a
yeah,
promise of what would have been, and people would look back and you know they would kind of look back. I think it would age really well. I have a feeling that Zack Snyder's Justice League will age
yeah. One
really
hundred
well over
percent.
time,
Once more
and
people
even
see
the
it,
DFS. Yeah, most
yeah,
people will see it, and even Batman v Superman, people will have a softer side to it in the future, and one of those movies that people look back and say, "Hey, that wasn't that bad, man. It was, you know, he was doing something cool there." And I feel like those are the movies that matters. You know, at the end of the day, it's not the movies that made money or that was like momentarily fun to watch.
yeah.
In but movies where you look back and say, okay, I think Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one and the three movies would be one of them. Obviously, the Dark Knight trilogy. Come on, we're
Those are
still
still
talking about it.
timeless.
and I
Yeah,
think this is
Probably
a
the
conversation for when we talk about best movie ever, which will happen.
No, no,
I'm
no, no.
sure.
We're not gonna pull in comic book movies for that. We're better than that.
Yeah,
Come on.
no, there's no way.
So
But I
But
do want to say one thing about Man of Steel,
yeah,
about how they kind of butchered Superman,
Yeah.
right? They got it because the reason Superman is Superman is because he grew up poor. He grew up with these parents that taught him hope and like morality, right? And then they like, so because Superman, he can save anyone anytime, right? And in the comics, his uncle, not Uncle Ben, what the hell's his name? What- his
Uncle
his his dad.
Ben is
Kent,
Spider Man.
Kent.
Kent
Like,
is yeah.
okay, so he dies from a heart attack. The one thing Superman can't save, right? Because it's like, oh, like he's this great person, but at the end of the day, he's not he's not invincible. He's not God, which is what the heart attack taught him. But in Man of Steel, it was like you can just fly through a tornado. No one's gonna see you. You know that pissed me off.
Yeah.
They could have done the heart attack scene, but they didn't.
I think what they were saying is it's more like his dad believed that the world, if the world finds out that he is Superman, he would lose his son, and the son would lose his life
Hmm.
because the world will reject him. They will reject this new being in this real
Yeah,
world. He just looked at
and
him
that's
as
where
a,
Batman vs Superman came. Oh, because the world did reject him. Batman
yeah,
rejected him. Yeah, well, it makes sense now.
and
They
everyone
just
rejected him, and then he
yeah.
still died to save the world. He still died to save the
uh,
world. That's all he did.
Superman is a true hero, even though
Superman
there was a
is
P jar in Batman vs Superman, but we won't talk about that.
it was what?
There's a P jar when the senator
Oh
drank the
really? Oh
pee.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. That's the level of maturity that we expect from our Batman vs Superman movies.
God, they wasted a good Batman. They wasted a good Superman. They wasted a good everyone.
I don't
Like
think they did, man. I feel like Warner Brothers wasted it. We could have
Someone
seen.
wasted it.
somebody
We
wait.
could
Yeah,
have.
so I mean, somebody
It
wasted
just
it.
feels incomplete. That's the thing. It feels incomplete. It's
Hmm.
such a perfect cast, absolutely perfect cast. What a
Yeah.
what a cast for Justice League. Wow,
Okay, wait.
man.
Who would
Jason
be a better
Momoa as
Batman?
Aquaman
Robert De Niro or Joaquin Phoenix?
as Batman. Robert De Niro.
Yeah, Robert De Niro. And then Joaquin Phoenix could be the Joker.
Joaquin
Yeah,
Phoenix was a great Joker, man.
yeah.
So with
But
But I
that being
think,
said,
yeah, I think this is a wrap. It was
I
a
think
great conversation.
it was amazing. And I'd like
Thank
to
you for
thank
having
everyone
us, man.
for watching.
oh,
And
we're done.
oh yeah.
I'm
This has
done for one more
been
question. If you have a
no,
question,
I'm gonna have lots of questions, but
I have a question
Tell
okay,
me,
go for
for
it.
you, Dinitha.
tell me.
Why is so? I have three actors in mind, maybe four, but there's this new movie coming out, Midnight Boulevard,
Right.
right? And there's three actors. There's
Mhm.
Adrian Palick, Adrian Alan C. Jr., and Dallin Christian Jones. And why are they gonna be the greatest actors of all time?
Why are they going to be the greatest
Yeah,
actors of all time?
and Jessica and Allison
Makes
and
sense.
Angus.
And Angus McCarty.
Angus McCarty. Listen to that. If you can't see this right now, Google Angus McCarty. He makes great music.
Yeah,
Genuinely,
shout out to Angus. Shout
he's
out
a
to
great
Angus
country
McCarty.
singer, and he is unrecognized. And it's kind of
Hey,
amazing to see what talent goes
yeah,
on
yo, keep
unseen.
this in the thing. Shout out to Angus McCarty. We did a music video for him, me and Yasith. Great guy, incredibly talented musician, unrecognized, hidden gem out there, man. Country singer, country musician.
Yeah.
He's just out there, man. He's just doing his thing. He's out there, man. Someone go get him. Here's the thing. I think if Alan C. Jr. decides to go all in acting, and he gets the right projects under his belt, or he is seen by someone important, this guy will be the next big thing.
He can play Batman.
He could, oh,
He would
oh,
kill Batman.
dude, damn,
He can play Batman for sure. He has the Bruce Wayne down.
damn,
You
he
know,
would be perfect.
he will be a great
Oh,
Batman.
he would
Sorry,
be.
Khalil, you probably have no idea what's going on, but basically me and Dinatha working on a movie and the Dinatha it's Middleville Boulevard by Dinatha, and Alan C. Jr. is one of the main characters and he would be a great Batman.
He'd be a fire Batman.
He'd be a great Batman.
6'4", chiseled jawline.
Yeah.
Man, the guy can act. He could do it. He could do it. Yeah. Damn. Now that you said, wow.
And then Adrian would be a great Superman. He has a Superman look. He has
He has a Kansas boy look, you know.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. What are we talking about, bro?
I don't know.
Well,
This
he was
is a
like,
shout out to the movie. I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie.
Shout out to the movie, man. Shout out to Midnight
Shameless
Boulevard.
plug. I'm sorry.
Shameless
Just a
plug.
little-
Midnight Boulevard is gonna be the greatest short film that you're gonna be seeing.
Yep.
It's gonna put every student short film to shame. Because this is how you
Okay.
make a movie.
We're not trying to burn bridges here.
What?
That's impossible. You could never burn a bridge. You're good.
Khalil, you make movies?
I do not make movies. This is
Okay.
the closest thing to a movie I make. Yeah.
Keep making movies, man.
Yeah. How'd you get to how did you find this whole Hard House thing?
Instagram.
Wow,
Yeah.
bro,
The
this
power
guy,
of social media.
you might be out there to find Hard House on Instagram, bro. Like,
I mean, I
can't even-
knew it existed, so
Did you go to U of T?
yeah.
Oh, you go to U of T. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about you, Khalil.
Yeah, talk about
So you see, the thing with Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel, they didn't have a vision for their movie.
No, bro, they had a vision.
They didn't
Warner
implement
Brothers. Warner Brothers messed it up.
Okay. By they, I mean Warner Brothers. Okay, you know what? They had a vision. They didn't do it correctly. What is your vision, Khalil,
For what?
for this?
This.
For this, like this show?
The vision for this is to give people what they want, give them the content they want, and once I click end record, I can tell you more.
Okay. Okay. Do you have anything else to say?
Hmm?
Do you have anything else to say?
I'm all out, man. I've done my deeds. It's all
Yep.
good. Yes, sir.
So with that being said, I think it's a wrap. Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Khalil,
you.
for having us. It was a wonderful conversation. Me and Yazid haven't talked like this in a while.
Yeah.
We always talk
And I'm going to
about,
drag you guys
about
on
business.
as much as humanly possible now to do this because
Of course. Sorry we didn't yell as much.
Oh,
but-
we're coming back?
as much as humanly possible. Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought you're kicking us out after this one.
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
we have some friends who can bring some
Oh, yeah.
interesting perspectives into these superhero. I think here's the thing, man. Here's my opinion. We wrap it up, right? Okay. You should really focus on some superhero stuff because that's what people actually watch these days. You know, on YouTube or whatever. Like, have more of that,